Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel for day 8 of the 12 days of Buildmas. I can't believe that we're nearly towards the end now, but today we are going to be doing something I actually did on my live stream on Wednesday. So if you were there for my Wednesday reset, we did do this on stream together and then I finished it off stream. So today we're going to be finishing the bind completely. Now I did do Bellamby's castle design in this kind of corner of this area, but I wanted to expand the area and complete it, so I decided to go for a cozy village market. I also include Fairy Godmother's house with her own little mini farm. I include some of the other whimsical buildings and also like a big harvest table. I wanted to try and include as much of the kind of veil themed stuff in here as well as like bind items, so that is the main thing. Before we get started, I just want to say there is still a large percentage of you that are not subscribed. There has been a lot of you that have subscribed recently and I'm very appreciative, so I want to say thank you so much for doing that really is amazing. But if you are not yet, please do not hesitate to subscribe down below and also click the notification bell because it will notify you for the rest of the days of Buildmas as well as other content from me, including live streams. But on that note, let's get started. So as you can see, to start off with, I started off with Fairy Godmother's house. Now something I will say at the start of this build is that this was done on live stream, so there is going to be a lot of like cuts and chops and changes because obviously when I'm streaming, I'm talking a lot to chat and I'm constantly like looking over and getting distracted and chatting to you guys because I love to try and like talk to everyone and reply to everything. So that is my only thing with recording builds on live streams, is I find editing it such a difficult task because I'm kind of constantly chopping and changing and having to kind of cut big bits out and things like that. But I've done my best, so I'm hoping that's not too distracting, so I apologize in advance if it is. But as you can see, I went in and started with Fairy Godmother's little mini farm, which I planted a bunch of the veil plants as well as obviously some pumpkins, added in the fruit trees, and then behind I made like a little storage area and filled it with a lot of like farming clutter items, so like tools and compost sacks and that kind of stuff. You actually can't get into this area, which is what I wanted to do. I wanted it to be like this little area that kind of was like a secret bit, so that is what I'm creating now. And then I kind of pieced together everything else I want to use from the stuff that I'd kind of collected to be for this build. Now for this area, as you can tell, I wanted to create the little farm area with a lot of eclectic items, and I use a lot of foliage. I go for the same trees that I had in the Beauty and the Beast area, so I'm going to be pulling a lot from that. And then I obviously wanted to create this little floral side to her house as well with some flower pots, and I do go in later and add in like a little chair to make it a kind of seating area. But for now I wanted to kind of get this area sorted out and organised before I moved on to anything else, so I added in a bunch of foliage from both the bind, the base game and Eternity Isle, as well as loads of the new bind trees. After that, I then moved on to the entrance of this area. Now I wanted this side to be a lot more rural and rustic, whereas my other side of the bind is very built up and kind of more of a city vibe. So this side I wanted to feel a lot more kind of natural. So I went inside piecing together the furniture I knew I wanted to use, like the pumpkin archway and the benches, and then I added in my harvest table. Now I did 3 of these tables put together because I wanted it to be this massive table for people to gather at. I wanted it to feel like a lot of villagers would come and sit here, so I went for a bigger kind of layout of this and put that bang in the center so it was center on with the entrance. Now at this point I was looking at all the furniture that I had out and where I wanted all these different items to go. There were some items in this pile that I end up not using, but I do end up using quite a lot of them, especially the bigger furniture items, to kind of create these specific areas. So as you can see in this little like alcove, I've made a little bonfire area, and I do go in and obviously add these other little like hidden kind of areas that I wanted to include, and kind of figured out the different items because there's a lot of kind of cottagecore autumnal rustic items that I can use, especially from the crafting table. I will say this build is very crafting table heavy, so I wanted to include as many as I possibly could to give it this really nice kind of cozy look, like a traditional village. Now, as you can see at this point, it started pouring with rain in my valley, so I apologise for that. But then I went in and designed around the well. Now, I wanted the well to go in this little corner tucked away because it's kind of a good middle ground between the two sides. And behind, I added in some of the bookish fences and loads of books on the floor, as well as the bookish tiles to really blend it all in. I wanted this area to feel really open, so you can obviously access the well pretty easily without getting stuck on stuff, but also obviously introduce you straight away to the kind of book theme of the bind and really kind of engage you as you come in. And I rearranged that to make sure I kind of got everything in the layout I wanted to before moving on to the entrance of the bind from the staircase. After that, I then obviously, as I said, went and did that entrance as well as adding in the pathway for this area. Now, as I wanted to keep it more rustic, I went with the Ancient's Landing brick pathway that's got the gaps in the middle of it. I love using this pathway because it shows the ground underneath, and because the bind has such a distinctive, like, beautiful orange ground, I didn't want to cover too much of it, so I only really use this main pathway to lead the main paths. So for example, I start from these two entrances here and it leads to the back entrance that takes you to Ever After. So that was kind of the only path I really wanted to use. I wanted, apart from that, it to just be open ground because the design of the floor in the bind with all the leaves on it is so gorgeous and I didn't want to cover that. So I started kind of paving that in, figuring out where I wanted that path to go and to keep it as minimal as I possibly could, and then also looked at the furniture that I had left and kind of figured out where I was going to arrange everything. after this, next to the kind of bonfire area, I decided to add in the Anna picnic blanket. I just really wanted to include this in the bind somewhere, and I kind of panicked at this point and was like, wait, I haven't included it, and it is the most like bind fitting picnic blanket ever because of the autumnal colors. So I was like, I have to include this somewhere. So I found this spot that is kind of before you go down the little hidden path to the bonfire, as well as the path that leads up to Belle and Beast's castle. So I wanted to include that as an extra little spot, and obviously surrounded it with trees and foliage to kind of blend it in so it didn't look as kind of oddly placed and kind of just put there. So that was the main thing I did there. And then as you can see, I'm now adding trees and foliage to this area between those two locations to kind of blend it all together and complete this area. I like to kind of complete the area in sections. So this is my kind of plan right now, is getting that area as kind of done as possible, figuring out how I'm going to line the pathways leading down to the exit to Ever After, and what kind of foliage I'm going to use to kind of merge the path and the floor together, because I really like to kind of coat the edge of the pathways and blend them in so that you can't actually see the edge of the path. I like to kind of border them, let's say, with foliage and items. So that is what I'm doing currently. Now, as you can see, the sun has finally come out, and we are now finishing up this area back in the front of the kind of bind location we're building in. And I decided in front of Fairy Godmother's house to create a little mini market area because I needed to include Goofy's stall somewhere, and I felt like this section of the bind made so much sense to have a little market because it is the more rustic, natural side. So I added in Goofy's and added in some of the book fences that you can craft behind, as well as a bunch of barrels, crates, rustic items that are from the crafting bench. So they're pretty easy to obtain and can help make an area like this feel really, really natural. I then added in some of the new craftable cobblestone pathway pieces and dotted those down from Fairy Godmother's farm all the way down to the pathway in the main area. And then I added in some of the Scrooge shop little fruit and veggie stalls onto the opposite side, and actually now we can angle these. It definitely made it look a lot more natural. And then I started figuring out the rest of the furniture to go around this market, as well as to go around the front of Fairy Godmother's pumpkin house. Some other little tweaks and changes I did is I went into the harvest table and I changed out the teapots for the new craftable ones. I forgot that these existed and they're my favourite thing ever. So I tweaked those out, and then I also added in some of the premium shop little autumn carts and leaf like cart in front of where Fairy Godmother lives, because they fit the pumpkin vibe so much that she has obviously going on with her house in general, and also the farming vibe that I was going for with her build as well. Something else I do add a lot of in this build, which you would have known if you were in the stream, is my new favourite item, which is the Floral Pathway. If you've seen my Buildmas videos, these have just been everywhere, and I apologise, but I'm obsessed with using them. I love the fact we can now angle them. You can also put them on tables underneath items, which is a huge game changer, so I did pop some of those underneath the stuff on the flower table to kind of blend it all together. But I just love using this. I think it adds such a nice texture to the pathways. It makes things a little bit more exciting. It makes foliage blend better. Obviously, as I always say, if you don't have Storybook Vale, you haven't unlocked this tapestry yet, there is a cherry blossom version in the base game. It's the little pink ones. They work the exact same, so they are really, really good to use, but these ones in particular have been my new favorite. So if you continue to see these in builds, don't be surprised, because they're my new favorites. So as you can see, this is the final build. We are coming in from the bridge and we go straight under the archway, and the first thing that greets us is these benches on either side. Obviously I've added a load of bookish tiles and flowers underneath this area to kind of really warmly welcome you in. And then we've got our harvest table next to the water. As you can see, I've added in a load of harvest foods as well as some books and lots of candles and things like that to make it this really warm and inviting little table space. I've left a gap next to the water so that you can see the little dinghy I've put in there, and also I can still access it for fishing and things like that. And then we have our main little area by the end of the stairs. We've got our well surrounded by, again, loads of books with the book fence behind to kind of create a border for it. And then we've got the rustic clock tower in the middle with some of the little clocks and lampposts at the front. I've added in the little book sofa and also some stalls containing both books and vegetables, so they're kind of the things being sold here. And then we have our little market, which I absolutely love. We've got obviously our fruit and vegetables on the left and then Goofy's on the right, easy for me to access when I'm running around in the Vale trying to gather stuff. And then we've got Fairy Godmother's little mini farm at the back. I absolutely love how the crops look in here, and we've got the little orchard trees as well, which make it easy for me to collect. We've got a little access spot to the rock spot at the back, and then obviously we've got our little hidden storage area at the back, which I just think is such a cute little touch. It's kind of like a secret area. And then at the front of Fairy Godmother's, we've obviously got a lot of foliage, some glowing mushrooms, and the little autumn cart. I just love how her house looks here. Then opposite that, we can see our little secret areas by Belle and Beast. We've got the little Anna picnic blanket in the corner, which fits perfectly with the autumn theme. And then we've got our little bonfire in the back section by the water, which I just love, this little tucked away area. I think it's kind of lovely to have by the water. And then obviously coming out of there, we have got our kind of long pathway down to the exit to Ever After. We have got our little floral section with Fairy Godmother, which I said before, I've added a little rocking chair for her to sit in. And then we head down to our wilted flower cottage, which here we've added a little stone well, some books, and also some more pumpkins to kind of blend it in with the environment. And then along the long pathway, we've got a lot of foliage to border the path, some of the more autumny themed items again, like the cart. And that is the final build, and here are some shots of the whole thing. Thank you so much to everyone in my live stream who helped me out with this build and kind of followed along as I did it. It genuinely was so fun to do, and I wasn't even going to make this a Buildmas video, and you guys were the ones who said, no, do it, we'll watch it again, I promise. And that was really kind of you, so thank you. So if you were there, I very much appreciate it. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video regardless. I'm really enjoying decorating in the Vale, and I'm so happy that my bind is completely decorated. It's my first biome kind of done in the Vale, so I'm excited to continue on. There are going to be a couple more Vale videos for the rest of Buildmas, so get excited for those. But I really enjoyed it, and as you can see from the shots, it is a really warm and cozy area. I think Fairy Godmother fits perfectly in here with her pumpkin house. I couldn't think of anywhere better to put her than here. I think this biome was honestly made for her, and her little farm is just such a cute little area that I love to do with her house wherever I put it. I used to have a little pumpkin farm in the glade for her, and now having this one just fits her perfectly, as well as the wilted cottage. I think that also works beautifully in the bind, and obviously everything just kind of ties together and looks very glowy, very natural, and is definitely something I'm happy with. That is the completed build. I hope you guys did enjoy, and let me know down below if you did. Obviously you can still leave your suggestions for builds you want me to do. I've pretty much mapped out the whole of the rest of Buildmas for now, because obviously there's only a few more to go, but I'm always open to suggestions, and there's definitely a lot of suggestions that I haven't been able to squeeze into Buildmas but will be done in the start of 2025, so do not worry, everything you've suggested will be done on the channel at some point. So if you do still want to suggest something and there's something you really want to see me do, please do let me know in the comments. comments or in my Discord server. The link for that is in the description, and we'd love to see you there. But I hope you guys did enjoy this build, and as I said, if you were in the live stream on Wednesday and watched it play out step by step, I hope you also enjoyed that spiral of madness that went on in there. But I'm very, very happy with the build, and I'm happy my bind is done. So I hope you guys did enjoy. Make sure you like the video and subscribe if you're new here and you're not subscribed already, and obviously leave the notification bell on if you want to be notified for the other days of Buildmas as well as live streams from me. But on that note, I hope you guys have a lovely day, and I will see you tomorrow for Buildmas day 9. Bye!